right, here we go, homework number 1. Oh, from 3, 4, 3, 5. Here we go. So we have this picture drawn. And we need to answer questions about it. And while we're at it, since we've got it there, we're going to actually draw or write the equation for it too. But for freedom, we're going to answer these basic questions. So we need to find the period, the midline, the frequency, and all right, so let's look carefully at the picture. Can you see in the picture that the first, I'll say low point, the first low point is at negative pi? Right, the first low point that I see. And then the next low point that I see, well, shoot, it's not labeled. So I can either figure that out, or I can go back and look at things I do have labeled. So the first low point is at negative pi, and the first high point is at pi over 3. Those are labeled. I don't need to figure them out. They are there. How far is it from negative pi to pi over 3? What is that distance? What would that be? 4 pi over 3. Now, is that the period? No. That is from low point to high point. So isn't that half the period? So if this is half the period, then the period is 8 pi over 3, double that. Which means the frequency is 3 over 8 pi. Frequency, that is the number of cycles that occurred in interval 1 unit long, is the reciprocal of the period. Any question about that? Some of you missed the period. Everybody got it now? Okay. What's the midline? Well, I tried to put arrows on my axes, but they're not. That's where the axes are, where the arrows are. So isn't this thing sitting on top of, thank you, sitting on top of the x-axis? So clearly it's been moved, right? How far up has it been moved? How many little spaces? 2? Up 2? So your midline is y equals 2? Up 2, horizontal line, y equals 2. And then your amplitude, how far above the midline does it go? 2. Your amplitude is 2. Now another way to find amplitude is the highest point on the curve is up 4. The lowest point on the curve is at 0. Half of that will be the amplitude. Because amplitude is hill. How high is the hill? And it's going to be half of the total. So that's another way you can find amplitude. All right, are we good with that? So if you miss some of those, go back and check them. All right? Now we're going to write the equation for this picture. It could be a cosine, or it could be a sine. You didn't have to do this in the homework, but you will on your quiz. So let's practice. Right now, taking that picture and writing an equation for it. Now, I don't know, you want to look at it as a sine or a cosine, but you have to get started, so what do you want to do? Think of it as a sine starting at negative pi over 3. Can you go with that? Why would that be a sine? Because sines start on the midline. Alright, so I'm gonna think of that as a sign. It's starting at negative pi over 3. So this is gonna be x plus pi over 3. Would you agree with that? And the amplitude is 2, so I'm gonna put a 2 out here in front. And if I start at negative pi over 3, that would be a positive sign. Okay? You told me my midline was 2, so this picture has been lifted up 2. Everybody okay with that? You already figured out the period of the thing was 8 pi over 3. The period was supposed to be 2 pi, always for a sine and cosine. So obviously there's a number here, call it whatever you want. There's a number there that's changed the period. So 2 pi divided by that number gives me 8 pi over 3. 2 pi, the standard period of the sine and cosine, got divided by something so that the new period was 8 pi over 3. So what does that something have to be? 8 pi b equals 6 pi. You get 3/4. Now, are we good here? You're gonna have to do this, are you? You got it. Okay. Now, the cosine equation will have a 2 here, a 3/4 here, and a 2 here. Because the only thing that changes when you look at it as a cosine is what? Where you start. So, where do you want to start this thing? If it's a cosine, you have to start at either the top or the bottom. So where do you want to start it? Top. So that would be pi over 3. So this would be x minus pi over 3. And if you're starting at the top, this is going to be positive because that's a positive cosine. If you start at the bottom, you'd have to put a negative out here because that's upside down.
Pardon this interruption. At this time, prior members should report to the Wksht Activity Center. Prior members report to the Wksht Activity Center for mass. Thank you.
Okay. We are going to, I have another set of worksheets here, so grab one of these. If you're leaving, grab one of those. We're going to do some of that. All right. So let's get out our notes, or not our notes. Yesterday, on page 4, that little packet I gave you yesterday, where we had the wheel that was going around, and we had the points, and we got everything done. But I said we are going to practice writing an equation. We just did it, but let's do it again. For the packet I gave you yesterday, the review problems, extra practice problems, page 4, we had figured out, at the end of the period, we had figured out that we had a period of 1/4, then an amplitude of 30, and a midline of 45. We had already done that before. Okay, is everybody where I'm at here? The little packet I gave you yesterday. Now we're going to write an equation. You got your picture right here. Here is the info that we found yesterday. Okay. And now we're going to fill in some blanks. So you need to be able to do this. So we have our points labeled. If we start point G, just for argument's sake, if we start at point G, would that be a sine or a cosine? Sine and a negative sign. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna start at point G, I'm gonna have a negative sign. We said our amplitude was 30. I'll figure that out in a minute. I'm starting at point G, so this is 3/16, x minus 3/16. And our midline is 45. Are you with me so far? The period of a sine is supposed to be 2 pi. It isn't. So obviously it's been divided by something to get the new period, which is 1/4. So it looks like that coefficient that I divided by is 8 pi. There are other sine equations you could write, but are you okay with that one? All right, now we're gonna look at it as a cosine. So if I'm looking at it as a cosine, I'm gonna start at point F. So it's a positive cosine. And if I'm starting at point F, that's gonna be x minus 1/8. And there we go. All right. Turn it over, we're gonna hit a couple of these. These are our unit circle. We cannot forget our unit circle. So take a second and do the first column. So 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Do the first column. Okay, 9, what do we get? 3/2. Perfect. Number 12. Negative 1/2. Negative 1/2. Right? Number 15. 0. Y at pi is 0. 18. Negative 1/2. And 21, that's a big angle, but you know what to do with it, right? What'd you get for 21? 3/2. Because 7/3 is the same as 1/3. Everybody okay with that? And if you didn't get all those right, you need to practice more. You need to practice. Okay. speaking of practicing, I just gave you a huge packet. There is no way we're gonna do all this. But there are just a couple of different kinds of problems we probably, should practice. So I numbered the pages this time. So let's look at on page 1, number 2. So page 1, number 2, we are gonna write the equation of this. And because we never know if we'll be asked to do a sine or a cosine, we're gonna do both. So, for number 2 on page 1, we're gonna write a sine equation and a cosine equation. So what are you personally looking at first? Most of you are writing something down, so what are you looking at first, Charlie?
Amplitude.
Amplitude. Charlie says, I like to look at the amplitude. So, you look at your amplitude, what did you decide the amplitude was, Charlie?
4.
And how did you determine that?
Well, I looked at the whole height of the graph, and it was from -2 to 6, so I knew that the whole height of the graph must be 8. So I just went up 4 from -2.
Yeah. The whole thing is 8, he says, so half of it's 4. Does that make sense? You may not have done it that way, but that's right. So that means this out here is gonna be a 4. Now, part of that conversation then is also, where's the midline, right? Because if we're gonna be going up and down 4 to get this picture, then where are we starting that up and downness? At 2? Y equals 2? So that's out here, that's your vertical shift. Okay, so far so good, I love it. All right? Now what should I be looking at? Period. I need to know what this number is right here. I don't know what that number is. But I know 2 pi divided by it will give me my period, so I need to figure out what my period is. So let's see, can we figure out what the period is here? Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong picture. Can I figure out what the period is? Can you figure out what it is? 8? 8? So we're either going top to top or hill and valley, but we gotta get 8. Everybody got 8? So period's supposed to be 2 pi. It's not, it's 8. So what did I divide by? Pi over 4? Is that what you got? Now we just gotta figure out, okay, where am I looking? If this is a sine curve, it's starting on the midline, right where it should be starting. So if this is a sine curve, one option would be to not have any phase shift at all. It's starting right where it's supposed to, 0, 2. If it's a cosine though, it's starting x minus 2, would you say that? Do you feel confident in that? All right, then let's try, I'm gonna pick another one somewhere. Go to page 5 and look at number 11. It is a multiple choice question. Go to page 5, look at number 11, and which of the following, and they're all sine equations, which of those sine equations could be an expression for that little picture there? still working it out? A? I don't think it can be A. And the reason I don't think it can be A is the period is not 2 pi. And with no coefficient in front of there, does that make sense to everybody? A looks promising, but the period, that period would be 2 pi and it's not, so it's not A. Anybody have another thought? Julie? C? Alright, let's look at C. First of all, if I phase shift to the right pi over 2, I am still a sine curve. Sines must start on the midline, and that point is a midline point, so I'm good. It is going down, so it would be negative. The coefficient on x is 2 because the period of the thing is only pi, and it's up 1. I think she's right. Anybody have another thought? Do you think another one was right? What's wrong with shifting over D? What's wrong with D shifting over to pi? That would still be a sine curve, but it would be positive, not negative. That's exactly right. Good job. We okay with that? All right, while we're here, let's go ahead and try 12, and then we'll move on to something different. But let's go ahead and try 12, because that looks like one of our word problems. Except they give us points. They got one you're willing to put up on the board. Remember, there's more than one possible answer. So, anybody got one? Do they have anything different? Go ahead and put an H of T out in front of that. I think that looks good. That is not what I had. I actually had this. Is that okay? That would be a negative sine curve.
How did you find the pi over 6?
Okay, how do we do that? How did she find the pi over 6? Lily?
The period is 12.
Okay, Okay, so stop right there. So that's step one. You gotta figure out which period is. So you can go high point to high point,
Oh,
you can go hill and valley, whatever, but you need the period. So period's 12. Okay, then what?
and then 2 pi divided by 12.
So 2 pi divided by what? Gives you 12? Caitlin?
Yeah.
And then you solve it. Good? All right, one more from this packet. Turn to the back of page 8. The back of page 8. Problem number 7. This time they give you the equation and they want to know which graph matches that equation. Ideas? Anyone have a thought? Yeah. Well, I ruled a couple of them out right away. If that coefficient on x is pi over 4, what does the period have to be? Whatever I graph, the period has to be 2 pi divided by pi over 4. Right, that changes your period. So isn't that 8 pi over pi, or 8? So the period that is peak to peak, or valley to valley, however you look at it, has to be 8. That is not C or D. So they're gone. They do not have the right period. Now, do A and B have the right period? Yeah, so it's one of those. Do A and B both have a midline at -1? Yep, so that part's good. Notice your equation has no phase shift, no horizontal shift. So you must be looking at the y-axis. 0. You're not shifting. So in A, on the y-axis, we're starting at the bottom. In B, we're starting at the top. Where should we be starting given a -2 out front? At the bottom, so A is the answer. How many of you had that pulled and you just didn't say anything? Do we understand it? You follow that? All right, here's what we want to do now then. Put that aside, get out a sheet of paper, because we're gonna do a couple sketches all by ourselves. Maybe one. I need somebody to give me an equation. I don't care if it's sine or cosine, but I want those 4 numbers stuck in it. So who will give me one? Alberto will. Why will?
4 sine pi over 6. Theta minus, or x minus 4 plus 25.
25?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll be doing some scale adjusting here, but, that's okay, we got it. Now, we're gonna sketch this thing. Okay? So here we go. The midline is at 25, so I'm just gonna move it right here. Okay? That means that my sine curve is going to be oscillating over that. Would you be okay with that? All right. Now, I can tell from my equation that my phase shift, horizontal shift, is 4. So my positive sine curve is starting on the midline at 4. And it is going to go up, and if you want to put in lines, you can. You don't have to do this. The scale's all whopper jawed. But this going up, here's 29, up 4, and down 4. So here is my sine curve. Would you agree that that's one period of my sine curve? You okay? You are pretty much done, except we need to label. Now I know this point right here is 4. I need to label this one. I need to label this one. I need to label this one, and I need to label this one. Those points need to be labeled because they are important points. They're either maxes, mins, or zeros, so we need those points. So I know I start at 4. How could I figure out where I end?
You could set, like 2 pi divided by x or whatever equals pi over 6.
No.
Or,
2 pi divided by pi over 6 is gonna give me my period, right? This is the number that divides 2 pi. So, does that work out to be 12? Once you know your period, can't you find your stopping point? You're starting at 4, going a period, which is 12, so I'm gonna end at 16. And then this guy right here will simply be the middle value or the midpoint of 4 and 16. So that will be 10. He gave us a really easy problem. And 4 and 10, that middle value is 7. So your maximum is at 7. And your minimum is at 13. Beautiful. Beautiful. Everybody okay with that? All right, let's try one more. We don't have very much time, so I'm gonna, all right, make it a quick one. All right, this is a cosine. It does not have a vertical shift, vertical translation. So it's just gonna be oscillating across the axis. I know it starts at pi over 3. I know its amplitude is 3. It's a positive cosine. So what do you think about that? So far, are you with me? I know that my period is supposed to be 2 pi but it's been divided by 2. So that means from here to here is pi. So what's that? From here to here is pi, so this would be 4 pi over 3, 1 1/3. This one right here in the middle, what is in the middle of 1/3 and 4/3? What is right smack dab in the middle of 1/3 and 4/3? 5/6. Very good, Leo. How did Leo do that? He did midpoint. I don't know how he did it. I did midpoint. So I'm gonna average these. So add them together, I get 5/3. Half of it is 5/6. Then you get to do it again. You've got 1/3 and 5/6. Add them together would be 7/6. Half of it is 7/12. There are a lot of fractions potentially. Alberto gave us a great problem, no fractions, but usually there's some kind of fractions going on. 5/6 and 4/3. Add them together, I get 13/6. Half of that would be 13/12. Alright, leave this up here, we're going to church, I'll tell you where we're sitting. We are sitting where the freshmen sit. No, not freshmen, sophomores. We're sitting where the sophomores sit in the top 2 rows, clear at the end, like where the steps come up. Alright, top 2 rows. No, we're going to church. If you have gum in your mouth, spit it out. Make sure the lanyards are on. We're leaving everything here. We will come back afterwards. Sophomore seats. Top 2 rows.